The Silver Arrows managed to score their second top 3 finish in 2 consecutive races, meaning that now the W14's race pace is definitely where they wanted it to be back in 2022. However, the team acknowledges its place in the competitive order after the Montreal race, accepting them to be slower than Red Bull and Aston Martin. But to turn those things around, the Silver Arrows are more than happy to introduce even more upgrades to the Mercedes car, ones that will come in huge packages to Silverstone and Spa. Toto, Wolff, and James Allison have elaborated more on what we should expect out of the team and the car within the next 4 races before the summer shutdown. When Mercedes introduced its new aerodynamic concept around the streets of Monte Carlo, everyone was stunned. Many questioned the team's engineering heads on whether or not this was the right move for the team's development path. But since Barcelona, these upgrades seem to have improved the W14's performance by a long shot, which fixed lots of the Mercedes car's weak points in the medium and high-speed corners. At Canada, we saw the W14 struggling around low-speed corners, which was very much expected by the Silver Arrows. Nonetheless, the vibes back at Brackley are certainly positive, as Mercedes came home for a double podium finish at Barcelona, and it would have been a double points P3-P4 finish in Canada if not for Russell experiencing reliability issues. It was only the 7-time world champion who was left alone on the track to score points for the German racing stable, which was also another podium finish for both the driver and the team. For fans who are worried about Hamilton not being able to challenge Alonso around the closing stages of the Canadian Grand Prix, worry not, according to the Silver Arrows, as the team feels this is not a thing that is going to happen very often in the future. That confidence is massively down to the upgrades the team has planned to introduce in 2 separate packages before the summer shutdown. As per Hamilton and Russell, one of the biggest issues prior to the major upgrade being installed on the W14 was the lack of rear downforce and the lack of feel around the car's rear. This was mostly down to the cockpit being positioned further forwards than the liking of either drivers. But this to be fixed 100%, both Brits would have to wait for the team to make changes to the chassis construction, which will be a change listed for next year's car. However, the team has to provide a more immediate fix to provide drivers with much needed confidence to push the car around more aggressively. And part of that immediate fix was the front suspension revamp the team made at the Monaco GP last month. Engineers back at Brackley repositioned the wishbones to work in tandem with the new side pods and floor geometry introduced, improving both airflow and cooling. However, the greater capacity to adjust geometrics is also a huge factor in improving the stability of the car. Mercedes trackside engineering director was the first one to talk about these upgrades, and we need to talk about them because this would automatically lead us to our next and main topic, Mercedes' newest upgrade package for Silverstone and Spa. When talking about this, Andrew Chauvelin said, "It's about trying to play with these geometries to influence the aero platform and try to get a little more stability in the car," he said. Probably the new geometry has given us more freedom, because the problem we always had before the last end race week was to get a good front end when cornering was needed and good stability on entry when braking hard and cornering. This compromise was always something we couldn't fix. You always end up with a weak rear when entering or a poor front when exiting corners. So let's hope that these new suspensions take us in the right direction. Definitely, after the highs of Barcelona and Montreal, it is safe to assume that the team is moving in the right direction. Not only were they faster than 2 scarlet red Ferrari machines, but they were faster than Sergio Perez as well. The latter one seems surprising as the Mexican is driving the fastest car on the grid, and Ferrari introduced an upgrade to its side pods design, which the team thought would help catapult them in front of the Mercedes duo. Well, that didn't turn out well for the Maranello team, and now Mercedes are looking to bring even bigger upgrades to Silverstone and Spa to consolidate their place as best of the rest and to take the fight to Red Bull. Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff confirmed that there's something new coming to the closest track that they can call home, but he did not jump into the specifics of what exactly is going to get improved. We are bringing a larger one to Silverstone, then we should have another one before the summer shutdown. We've learned a lot since we changed the concept of the car. The correlation between simulation and racetrack has gotten much better. We are now implementing this step by step. In Monaco, we saw the floors of Mercedes and Red Bull respectively. When compared with the masterpiece the RB19 is running with, the Mercedes floor did look dull. But Wolff has talked about his team of engineers taking a close look at how the Red Bull floor works. While the team still might learn some things from Adrian Newey's design, the Austrian revealed that his team was not particularly impressed about Red Bull's floor. For me, if it's complex or not, if it is fast, it is good. That floor is certainly very fast. I asked the question into my engineering group and they said there are interesting things they can analyze as part of the airflow functions. But they weren't convinced about the beauty, the aesthetics of the flow and just how it functions. With what the team considers as the new baseline for the team to work on, there are a lot of things that the team has and can work on improving. technical director of Mercedes James Allison shared his insights on this matter, as he implied that the side pods are small pairs while finding more performance. Just as the geometry of the side panels does not explain Red Bull's success, our old side pods were not the reason for our problems. Where exactly Mercedes wants to improve remains a secret. However, one can expect that it will take place again in the floor, side pods and engine cover. I also expect the team to make small tweaks to the rear suspension as well. When considering the floor, we can expect bigger leaps, but nothing similar to Red Bull. James Allison talked about the floor upgrade the team would possibly be making, as he mentioned that just because you can see the Red Bull floor doesn't mean you can replicate it and install it on the W14, as one of the main weaknesses in 2023 for Mercedes is their narrow chassis. But even so, Wolff is confident about how the team and drivers will perform in the upcoming races, as he labeled the Canadian race to be a test in which if they get a good result, the team won't be worried much about future tracks suiting his car. Wolff concurred that both drivers' level of competition in the W14 has increased significantly, and Wolff was full of optimism, which is something we don't really see from him all that often in situations like this. When questioned about the qualifying session and whether or not he believes that his drivers had what it takes to defeat Alonso, something that didn't happen. The circuit at Silverstone, where the W14 will undergo yet another redesign, may not be as obvious this time around, which is what has drawn the greatest attention to the entire scenario. Toto thinks that Silverstone may possibly be the site of the Silver Arrow's first race victory. Mike Elliott, the new chief technical officer of Mercedes, shared thoughts on how the Canadian Grand Prix went for the team and what we can expect from the team in the next 4 races. It is really nice to be now racing at least for podiums, being able to show what we are capable of doing. We said before the weekend that Canada will be a more difficult circuit for us. So, to come out of this weekend to qualify with the cars 4th and 5th, promoted to 3rd and 4th, and then to race in a strong way, beaten by Alonso. But for Lewis to race to 3rd and in George's case to show strong performance up until his crash, I think it is a good result for us and hopefully something we can take into the next few races. As for the next 2 races, in Austria and Great Britain, Elliott thinks the track should suit the W14. I think where we have seen the car struggling is more in the low-speed corners, so if we start looking at circuits that have got more medium and high-speed content, we think we will do better there. So, Silverstone will be a good example of that. Austria shouldn't be too bad for us either. Lewis Hamilton has pointed out rear traction and a little bit more efficiency to the current problems of the Mercedes W14, and that is what the team would be hoping to resolve with its planned upgrades for Silverstone and Spa. With that being said, there's a lot of catching up to do at the front, but with the newest upgrades being brought to the W14, one could only imagine where the limit is for the ever-growing Brackley-based squad. Even though questions regarding how the top teams are spending every year has been raised recently, the Silver Arrow's quest for glory continues. With the team aiming at the floor as the #1 part to improve in the next batch of regulations, we might see a very close battle between Mercedes and Red Bull. But what do you guys think? Can the Silver Arrows challenge Red Bull this season, after the team introduces upgrades at Silverstone and Spa? How much are you expecting Mercedes to challenge Red Bull closely around the Red Bull ring? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section down below. We'd love to discuss it with you. And on your way down, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get notified of our future uploads, to keep yourselves up to date about the 2023 Formula 1 season.